Hi, in this video we will study and learn how to attach a subordinate clause to a main clause. Although understanding this is not a necessity, but it will definitely help you to refine your concepts and understanding. So let's see how can we attach an adverbial clause to a main clause. So there is a definite pattern actually which you can follow while attaching a subordinate clause to a main clause. When you are attaching an adverbial clause to a main clause, there are two distinct patterns. As you can see here, this is the pattern 1 and this is the pattern 2. In pattern 1, when you are placing the subordinate clause or the adverbial clause in the beginning of the sentence, there will be three participants: the subordinate clause, the comma, and the main clause. You need to be very careful whenever you are placing the subordinate clause before the main clause. You have to separate it with a comma. For example, unless Tom studies for his exam, he will fail the exam. So here, as you can see, he will fail the exam is the IC, independent clause, and unless Tom studies for his exam is the DC, an adverbial DC, which is separated by a comma. In the other pattern, when you are placing the subordinate clause after the main clause, you need not put a comma. Comma is not required there. Let's see an example. Tom took rest because his right leg was broken. In this case, because his right leg was broken is the dependent clause, and Tom took rest is the independent clause. And you need not put a comma in between this. It is totally accepted and fine. All said and done, there is still a small exception which you need to understand. This exception depends on the tone of the sentence. Suppose you have a positive tone and it is followed by a negative tone, or a negative tone followed by a positive tone, then you need to put a comma. This is in reference to the second pattern. I'll illustrate it better with an example. Ram climbed the stairs although his right leg was broken. So this is an exception. When a dependent clause talks contrary to the main clause, a comma may precede a dependent clause. So you can keep this in mind as an exception, and you can note the reason as well. So let's move to the next kind of clause, that is adjectival clause, and learn how we can attach an adjectival clause to a main clause. When you are attaching an adjectival clause to a main clause, it depends whether that clause is essential or not essential. By essential, I mean, is it trying to identify with the noun it is modifying, or it is merely giving an additional information about the noun. So this is what differentiates an adjectival clause with an adverbial clause. Let's quickly go to the stated definition. Comma used with an adjective clause depends upon the essentiality of the adjective clause. If the adjective clause is essential, then no comma should be used to separate it from the main clause. Essential modifiers identify the noun modified. Let's see the example. People who live in the glass houses should not throw stones. Here, who live in the glass houses is a dependent adjectival clause, which is modifying people. It is trying to identify that what kind of people should not throw the stones. So it is an essential modifier in this case. In the next sentence we see, we really enjoyed the tour that we took 5 years back. So in this sentence you can see that it is identifying the tour. So they might have taken many tours. So they really enjoyed which tour? The tour that they took 5 years back. So there could be tours they have taken 1 year back, 2 years back, 3 years, 10 years, 15 years, but they really enjoyed the tour that they took 5 years back. So this entire dependent clause is trying to identify with the tour. Let's see another example. Nick gave a handful of potato chips to the dog that was sniffing around the picnic table. In the same fashion, as you can see here, that was sniffing around this picnic table is the dependent clause, which is giving additional information about that particular dog which was sniffing around the picnic table. So Nick gave a handful of potato chips to that particular dog that was sniffing around the picnic table. There could have been more dogs around. So this was to specify. So now you must have understood that whenever you have to add an essential adjectival modifier or a clause, then you need not put a comma. A comma is not required, and it always identifies with the noun preceding the clause. Let's move to the non-essential adjectival clause. Non-essential adjectival clause, they are always separated by a comma. and they do not try to identify with the noun modified. They simply give additional information about the preceding noun. In this example, as you can see, Mount Everest, which is located in Nepal, is the highest peak on earth. So which is located in Nepal is just giving an additional information about Mount Everest. Similarly, in the next sentence, I emailed Mr. Brown, who manages the company's out-of-state orders. So here, I emailed Mr. Brown is sufficient enough, and it is an independent clause. But by adding a comma and writing this dependent clause, it is giving an additional information about Mr. Brown, what Mr. Brown actually does. So adjectival clause, by now you must have understood, are categorized into two categories, essential and non-essential, and it depends whether they are separated by a comma or not. However, we will study this aspect of modifiers in far more detail in our upcoming videos. There is another chapter on gerunds and participles, where participles behave as modifiers. I have discussed this entire topic of modifiers in that particular video. You can go to that video also, and we'll be having an elaborate section on modifiers. So let's do a quick exercise. My brother, who is a doctor, has gone to America. My brother, who is a doctor, has gone to America. Both of them sound the same, but what is the difference between the first sentence and the second sentence? You can pause the video, take 2 minutes and make notes and write about these two sentences. So, well, let me begin. First of all, let's trace the dependent clause. In the first case, it is who is a doctor. In the second, it is who is a doctor again. In the first case, it does not have a comma. In the second case, it does have a comma. In the first case, when it does not have a comma, it is identifying brother. In the second case, it is also referring to brother, but it is not identifying with brother. It is merely giving an additional information about brother. So what is the exact difference? In the first case, if you see, it means that my brother, who is a doctor, that has gone to America. That means the author has several brothers, probably 1, 2, 3, 4, and all of them have different occupations: service, doctor, business, and XYZ, whatever. So by this sentence, he's trying to say my brother, that is his brother, who is a doctor. He has 4 brothers. That particular brother who is a doctor has gone to America. Let's analyze the second sentence. My brother, who is a doctor, has gone to America. Here it means my brother has gone to America, that he has one brother probably, and he has gone to America, who is also a doctor. So he's just giving an additional information about his brother. He's not trying to identify with that particular brother who is a doctor, as it is in the first case. I hope that I have been able to make you understand the difference between the first sentence and the second sentence. Kindly keep in mind that comma plays a very important role. There is a very good saying in Urdu which says, "Nokte ke हेर फेर से खुदा भी जुदा हो जाता है." Well, that means, here you can see the two words khuda, which means God, and juda, which means separation. The mere placement of this small dot from here to here changes the meaning of the entire sentence or the word. Khuda means God and juda means separation. So it's very well said, नक्ते के हेर फेर से खुदा भी जुदा हो जाता है. By displacing the dot, the meaning of God can change from God to separation. Thanks a lot.